Hello, I'm Henry.
And I'm Trey. And welcome to Marvelous, a Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast,
where we go through the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe show by show, movie by movie, in order of release. And today, we're talking about the end of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1. Hydra has risen! And it's time to talk about it.
What? I had no idea after Winter Soldier that this would happen.
Oh my god, I'm just so happy that we don't have to hide that Ward is Hydra anymore.
Ward's Hydra?
Oh my god, Trey. Hiding that Ward was Hydra for the rest of these episodes was so frustrating because I saw little bits of things that were very Hydra-ish of him and Garrett in previous episodes, and I just wanted to talk about it, and now we finally can.
Yay. Ward's Hydra.
Yeah. And now he's a way more interesting character.
Definitely a way more interesting character. Like, before this, he was just cool agent man, and now he actually gets to be cool double agent man.
Yeah, he's way more developed in, like, the first few episodes here when he's talking with Reyna and you see what he's really like, and then eventually we delve more into his backstory and how he's the way he is and why. It's just awesome to peer inside of his head.
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched this, not really caring about Ward that much as Cool Agent Man, but once he turned evil and this twist happened, it was like, oh my gosh, he's so cool now! Look at all this character that he has all of a sudden.
I think I liked him when I first saw him, but I'm not sure how big of a difference it's made in my eyes. I definitely like it a lot, but I think I liked both versions at first. But now I like Hydra Ward more.
Cool. So, should we give context?
Yes, we actually have a movie to give context about this time, since Winter Soldier actually applies to this one, unlike Thor 2.
Yeah, so, Henry, tell me about the context for these episodes.
So the first episode that happens after Captain America Winter Soldier happens concurrently with the movie. It happens during the uprising of Hydra taking over S.H.I.E.L.D. from the inside. And as far as everyone knows, Fury has died.
Well, that sounds super exciting. Henry, why don't you tell me about the episodes?
Well, Trey, I can do that. Hydra has come out of the shadows. They were in S.H.I.E.L.D. all along, and Garrett was revealed to be the clairvoyant, and Ward his subordinate. What will our heroes do as their world is crumbling apart in front of their very eyes and they don't know who to trust? Find out what happens during these final episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1.
I think a lot happened on these last few episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1.
Indeed, they did.
I really like how S.H.I.E.L.D. takes us on the journey of revealing that Hydra has taken over, because we just came out of Winter Soldier where we saw the grand scale battle, the largest battle for S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra that Captain America was a part of, but we didn't get to see any of the ground level fallout that it caused. We didn't get to see any of the ripples throughout S.H.I.E.L.D. or the ramifications on the government and what happened to the rest of Hydra, and I really enjoy the way that S.H.I.E.L.D. takes us through all of those little details, but also does it in a way that's completely separate from the movies, so you can watch it individually, though watching them together compounds and makes it like 10 times better.
Yeah, Winter Soldier does a really good job of covering how a movie should cover these topics, how it's a big reveal, a big battle, and then everything seems fine in the end. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does it perfectly for a TV show where it's a surprising reveal and the after effects really affect their world. And they have to deal with many problems that have arisen thanks to Hydra's uprising.
Yeah, and we get the whole situation through the lens of who's the clairvoyant, which is something completely unrelated to the movie, but is S.H.I.E.L.D.'s big arc. And we have all these misdirects with, is it May? Is it Hand? Is it... Well... Then we finally find out that it's actually Garrett because of a slip of the tongue.
Yeah, which I don't think was the best reveal they could have done, because Garrett's been like a secret agent for S.H.I.E.L.D. for like 20 years and no one ever caught him. And he gave up his secret so easily.
I completely agree about the reveal part. It definitely felt a little forced, like, let me tell my entire backstory so that I can slip my tongue and mess up right now. But all the other stuff around it, like the Mr. X and Hand being questionable as the clairvoyant and acting like she's Hydra to test the loyalties of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, I really liked all of that stuff.
I thought it was pretty good, except I didn't really like how Trip was handled, just because they did some like fake scares with him at first, and then the whole scene with him and Hand. If he was working for Hydra, he probably would actually know that Hand was not Hydra, so he'd probably say he wasn't Hydra either way. So he could have falsely gained all their trust.
It's possible. I mean, it's also possible that Hydra agents don't know everyone that's in Hydra, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, I don't think all Hydra agents know each other, but I think later in these episodes, when Coulson is really mistrusting of Trip, that's perfectly reasonable, and they should not have taken him on the plane.
Yeah, but that's a typical Coulson thing to do, is to trust people that he shouldn't, like Skye.
You are right, but he literally was working for Garrett for like years.
No, I completely agree, and they definitely should not have trusted... They should not have trusted Ward either when he's like, oh yeah, I really want to go and put my SO in his place. How dare he betray me? And then immediately betrays Hand and shoots her.
Yeah, especially because they were just taking Ward to be questioned for shooting the fake clairvoyant. Like, they already had doubts about him. And then they just let him go off with Garrett anyways.
Yep. That's really not good.
But the reveal of Ward being Hydra was awesome. How he just killed Hand and the guards, and Garrett just like, nice job.
It was fantastic, but I was sad that Hand is gone. I know you don't like her, but I was sad that she's gone.
They just always made her out to be a bad guy, and the way that she went out was baiting Ward into shooting Garrett, which made her last moment kind of her being a shady bad guy, even though, yes, it would be taking out the clairvoyant who had been causing S.H.I.E.L.D. tons of problems, but still, their whole thing is about justice and not just murdering people.
I don't think that's that shady, because Garrett deserves to die, but I do understand what you're saying about them having her be shady throughout the season. Though in this episode, I did like that Hand was sort of the hand of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, the remaining force of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be reckoned with, and when she fell, you pretty much felt that S.H.I.E.L.D. had fallen.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, for sure. But a few other things I wanted to talk about this episode was that before Ward was revealed to be Hydra, we were slowly seeing him do shady things that weren't really noticeable until after you know he's part of Hydra. Like, he took Skye's gun, he took the backup drive of all the data from the bus because Hydra needed it. He was preparing for his betrayal without us even noticing it. And Skye and Ward kiss.
Only because they're gonna die. It doesn't mean anything, Henry.
Yeah, but I like how they had at least one romantic-ish moment before it was revealed that Ward was Hydra, because then it adds more tension later.
Indeed. I also have a few gripes with that episode that I wanted to mention, which...
Sure.
The action was great, but it was very inconsistent what they were attempting to show, because Victoria Hand... first off, was super cruel right to the bat. She wanted to just murder all the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents without even capturing them, without giving them a chance to speak. She's like, shoot them all down!
Yeah, out of the plane.
Yeah. But then they escape, and the same agents find them later, but this time they don't shoot them. They just train their guns on them and don't pull the trigger. And then it gives Garrett time to have his Hydra agents take over. And there was a big battle when the lights went out between Coulson's team and the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who are actually Hydra agents. But during this battle, even though the action is good, it's like the most obvious I have ever seen it that the bad guys are not pointing and shooting at the good guys. Because if they had just pointed their guns once and pulled the trigger, someone would be dead.
Yeah, that's just one of those TV logic things that always annoys me. The enemies can never shoot well. Our heroes are immortal, except for maybe getting shot in the shoulder once or twice.
I agree. I just feel like it's way more obvious in this episode than I've ever noticed it before in a show.
I can see why you think that.
It's also very convenient that Victoria Hand just happened to have planted a recording device in that room and overheard everything, so now she knows Coulson's innocent.
Oh yeah, that was kind of weird.
It was strange.
They have really weird standards for why they think people are Hydra or not.
Yeah. But overall, I really loved the episode.
Yeah, it was really exciting to see Hydra's rise to power.
So we also get the return of Reyna, which...
She's free!
She's free, and her reaction when she finds out who the clairvoyant is my favorite, because she calls him a fraud, she acts so disappointed, and I just love it so much. Like, it felt so cathartic to me that someone else called him a fraud.
Yeah, and Reyna responding to him not actually having superpowers really adds this whole new layer of depth to her, because she's clearly a much more complex character than she originally let on. She isn't just like in love with him or something. We learn more and more throughout these episodes that she's really fascinated with superpowers because she wants to know what she'll become.
Yeah, and she's very interested in humanity's evolution and her own evolution.
And Sky's evolution. It's interesting that she's interested in Sky also, as stuff at the finale really leads on with the reveal of one of Sky's parents, but we could talk more about that at the end.
Indeed.
Not only do I really like Reyna's conversation with Garrett when she finds out that he's not really clairvoyant, I also really love her conversations with Ward and her trying to understand what he's really like. And we see Ward revealing all of his tactics for getting in the heads and getting the trust of everyone among our main cast of agents. And it's just so cool to see that part of his head. And then later on, when he calls Sky and then just jumps right back into his usual character, it just opens your eyes to the truth. And it was just really cool to see in action.
It is really interesting. And I love how much of the Sky and Ward relationship and betrayal we got to see in these episodes, because just everything about it kept me on the edge of my seat. From their super intimate scenes when Ward's like bearing his soul to Sky and talking about how she wouldn't like him if she knew the real him and what he's done. And he seems really vulnerable in these scenes, but also really scary because he's so intimate while being evil.
Yeah, since we know the truth, which definitely just makes these scenes way better. The slow reveal of the truth of Sky was just great.
Absolutely. And then Sky finds out that Ward killed Eric Koenig and essentially breaks down, but she gathers like all of her strength in order to confront him and pretty much outsmart him and stall him. And she does a lot to try to get away, which I really enjoy, because she takes him to the wrong location. She tips off the police and waits for them to find her before essentially running. And even when Ward's beating up the police, she's like, okay, other policemen, you guys take me. Okay, no, well, I'll just...
Yeah, like she just steals the police car and drives off. And then when Deathlock pops up and takes her in, I'm like, whoa. She was unstoppable unless you literally brought in a superpowered person to stop her.
Yeah, I thought all of that was phenomenal on her part.
A lot of it was cool, except I thought after they left the base, her and Ward weren't really doing a good job of deceiving each other anymore. And I feel like both of them should have been very well aware that the other one was tricking them. They were both acting really uncharacteristically than normal.
They were both acting a little off, but considering the situation of being on the run and all of S.H.I.E.L.D. essentially breaking down and none of them have homes anymore, I think Sky was able to get away with it because her excuses were pretty realistic, whereas Ward
was being all weird and impatient, and that totally wasn't uncharacteristic of him.
Yes, Ward was probably more uncharacteristic, but I think you could also read it as the team needs us and we need to go. Not that it really matters because Sky already knew that it was him.
I know, but it was so obvious it just kind of like hurt the watch because I'm like, come on, he's a better agent than that. Though I know he's vulnerable to Sky, but still, I thought it was a bit weak.
Yeah, maybe a little. After Mike catches Sky, we get a scene between Ward and Sky where he essentially says that the only thing that was real about their relationship was how he feels about her. And Sky's reaction is essentially gag.
I believe she said, I'm going to throw up.
Yeah. That gag equals that.
I like hers better.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you.
I don't think you're sorry.
I really do appreciate how disgusted Sky is, though, about him actually having feelings for her while being a double agent, and how she essentially shoots him down and tells him, like, there's never going to be anything between us. Get away. But I hate that Deathlock then threatens Ward's life.
Oh, yeah.
In order to get Skye to unlock the data, and she gives in and it works.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. That was weird.
Just let him die. Let him die. He deserves it.
Yeah, and even later on, she's like, I should have just let him kill you. And it's like, yeah, you should have.
Yeah.
Though I really do like that the next time they interact, when they're at the Cybertech labs, she's just like, oh, you're not even evil. You're just like a sad little puppy following Garrett around.
He is.
He really is. Which is really cool to see how he devolves once his idol Garrett just like falls apart in front of him. Because his entire life was devoted to this man who saved him, and he believed he owed everything to him. Even though Garrett's whole worldview is, you don't owe anyone anything, do everything for yourself. So when Garrett's already healed, his mission's complete, he doesn't care anymore. Ward just like, please just give me an order. I need an order. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, this was something that was a huge part of these episodes, and I actually noticed it way before Garrett started going crazy, because Ward was essentially doing everything only for Garrett's approval. He would betray anyone. He would do anything to hurt all the people that he's been with just because Garrett said so. And it was weird to see, but also once we get into Ward's past, I'm not even sure it's clear why he's so loyal to this man to the point of all of that. Because let's get into Ward's past.
Yeah. Well, really quickly, I just wanted to say, like, I saw the signs also, but I really liked in the final episodes when Ward is just begging for something. And he's being filled with so much doubt.
Yeah, that was brilliant acting on Brett Dalton's part, because he really does seem like the most desperate man alive at that moment.
I feel like a really bad Marvel fan because I had no idea that was his real name.
You should.
I don't care.
But you really do buy into how much his life is given purpose only by serving this one man. And that's why I absolutely love his penance at the end. The consequence for all of his actions is that Garrett is dead, and he gets to spend the rest of his life wrestling with one question: who are you without him? I fucking loved that was his consequence, because that is exactly the worst thing that could have happened to him.
Exactly. It was great. Also, I enjoyed that May used a nail gun to shoot him in the foot. That was good too. And then just like beat the shit out of him while he was stuck to the floor.
Yeah. Those were pretty good too.
Yeah. So Skye verbally tore his world apart because she was the only other thing he clung to in life. May physically beat the crap out of him. And Coulson psychologically just destroyed him by just showing him that his world and everything he ever knew just completely fell apart.
Yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful ending to that. But I think we should get into Ward's past and why he is the way he is.
Yeah. So in the first of the flashbacks, we see Ward in prison for burning down his house, which had one of his brothers in it, likely his older brother who he might have been trying to kill, since we know some of their backstory. And Garrett gives him the choice to leave and abandon his past and live as a free person again, since his whole family is after him now.
Well, to get recruited by Hydra, not really as a free person.
True, but at that point he also thought it was S.H.I.E.L.D., not Hydra.
Did he say at the time?
In one of the later flashbacks, Garrett says that he's part of a secret organization in a secret organization called Hydra. It's not till way later.
Right, but I mean, in the jail, he didn't mention S.H.I.E.L.D. either.
Oh, maybe not. I'm not sure. But either way, Ward wasn't expecting to be part of Hydra. He just wanted freedom.
I think it was pretty clear that he was recruiting him, and his choice was either to rot in jail or to be recruited into some kind of organization that he may not like, because he was told it would not be a good time. It would be hard as shit.
Yeah, but there's a difference between hard and evil. So the point I'm trying to make is Ward didn't know he was signing up for Hydra. He just knew he was getting freedom, even if it meant having a hard life.
He didn't know it was Hydra. No.
I feel that that's an important distinction with where his character goes during these episodes.
Why?
Because Ward doesn't really care about Hydra. He only cared about Garrett, and he followed Garrett wherever he went, not Hydra.
Garrett doesn't really care about Hydra either.
Yeah, and the point I'm trying to get across is that Ward wasn't doing this because of pure evil and hail Hydra. He just wanted to help Garrett. And when Garrett's going crazy and he's saying like, all right, so Garrett, we're not like really with Hydra, right? He's kind of trying to back off and not be completely evil. So what I'm trying to get across is he wasn't necessarily like pure evil at this point.
No, he wasn't. I was confused where you were going with that because I didn't think that was ever a question.
Well, I thought it was worth pointing it out.
Okay. Anyways, so Ward decides to get recruited in the jail instead of staying there. And the part of this that really confused me is that to free him, Garrett doesn't use his political sway. He doesn't, like, get him out of the situation legally. He just busts in with guns and breaks him out. I'm really confused how that got them anywhere and how that worked.
Yeah, like, how did Ward pass any background check? He wasn't using a fake name, I think.
No.
Like, don't they know about his backstory a bit?
You mean S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just weird.
Yeah, that was odd to me. I don't know why he busted in with guns.
Yeah, and he lived, like, in a forest for, like, 10 years.
10 years? Do we know that?
Yeah, I think.
Do we know that he lived in the forest that whole time, though?
I think it was assumed.
Okay, I thought... Because in the past, Garrett was like, oh, come with me and learn guns. And then they show you 10 years later, and they're in that meadow again. And Garrett's like, kill your dog. So I never thought that Ward just lived there that whole time.
I thought he lived and trained there the whole time.
I don't know. It's not clear.
He was kind of a fugitive, also. It's all weird.
It's very weird.
But it's a neat story.
I do like the flashbacks, but based on them, I don't get at all how they create loyalty to Garrett, because really all you see is he leaves Ward in the wild for 2 months and says, survive on your own. And then he doesn't come back for 6 months, which I'm still confused why Ward waited for him.
Yeah, like, why didn't he go somewhere else?
Yeah, I would have expected him to think he wasn't coming back, if it's 3 times as long as he said.
I think it's because he thinks he's a fugitive and will be put back in jail if he leaves. So he just stays anyways. It was easy after the first few weeks, like he said.
Okay. And then the only other thing we're shown is that years later he was told to kill his dog. And we have no idea if he did or not.
I think he did, because when it looked like he didn't, when he shot the gun to make the dog run, it made you think, maybe there's like a little sign of good in him after all, and Fitz is right. But then you see him snipe the dog when Ward drops Fitz and Simmons out of the plane into the ocean.
Well, you don't see him snipe the dog. You just see the lens focus on the dog, and it's watching the dog run. So
yeah,
you could be completely right, but I don't think it's clear, because we didn't see him kill him.
I agree. I just think that's what they were going for.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
By the way, Fitz and Simmons are now in the bottom of the ocean.
We don't need to talk about that.
Under the sea.
Just kidding. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But just on this topic of why is Ward so loyal to him when we didn't really see anything as to why he would be, I was thinking the same thing in the present when Ward goes to confront Garrett about having him almost killed for Skye to get the data. And he gets chewed out about how he's still weak as always. And sometimes I don't know why I've bothered to recruit you. And I'm sorry.
He's very loyal.
He's the worst to Ward, and I don't know why Ward is such a submissive puppy dog to this man who just treats him like shit.
It's just been his whole life that way. Garrett rescued him from living in prison for years, if not his whole life, and from his family, which was a hell to him. Garrett is like a god to him. And the shitty way he was treating Ward was similar to the shitty ways he treated Ward in the past, which made him the strong man he is. It's just what he's used to. He's a broken man.
I get all of that, and I get that Garrett saved Ward from being in jail for years. He
also saved him from the family.
I mean, by saving him from jail.
His family also. He was still a minor, too. He would have had to go back, maybe.
He was like 17. But I think the hard part is that it seems clear that Ward was just clinging to any mentor figure, and Garrett was that for him, even though he was a terrible mentor. And he was never actually there for him emotionally or anything. It was just like, oh, I'm someone you can look up to. I stopped you from being in this bad situation, so therefore your whole life is now mine. And Ward takes that as like, Oh my gosh, my God, he did this one thing. Yes, let me please you.
Well, to him, he saved his life. Gave him freedom.
Yeah, again, he didn't do much, and it was very clear that it was done for Hydra purposes. So Garrett's always been about himself, and it's just hard to see Ward be so loyal to someone who doesn't care about him at all.
Indeed. So now that we've covered a lot of Ward, I thought we should jump back and talk about Coulson's arc throughout these episodes. So when S.H.I.E.L.D. falls, Coulson's world has just crumbled apart in front of him. And he just has nowhere to turn. He thinks Fury his idol, and his SO. I didn't even realize that Fury was Coulson and Garrett's SO before. But his world has fallen apart, and he doesn't know what to do. And then he gets the signal from his badge that's leading him to a location that he thinks is from Fury. And he takes the whole crew on this seemingly wild goose chase to Canada to the secret Providence base. And they make it seem like he is going absolutely crazy, thinking that Fury is still alive and that there's still a S.H.I.E.L.D. to believe in. But he's right. And there is a base, and Fury is still alive. And at the end of this season, he becomes the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I really like how throughout these episodes, his confidence falters and shatters for just a minute, only to rise back up stronger than ever, to the point where he becomes the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. and has really earned it.
Huh, that's an interesting point that I didn't really consider. Yeah, that's true. It wasn't just a fallout for him, though. The whole search for the secret base was pretty much a fallout for the whole team of the fact that there's no more S.H.I.E.L.D. for them to be a part of. And it was definitely interesting to see that character development.
Yeah, especially with May, because her world is doubly crumbling because Coulson basically now hates her.
Yeah, that was hard.
Temporarily.
Yep. And we also meet Eric Koenig at the secret base.
Who lasts for an episode and a half.
Yes, but his brother...
Billy Koenig.
Joins us at the end, who is identical, so, you know.
I wonder how they found an actor that looks so close to Eric.
Ha, 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 ha.
Marvel casting is amazing.
And we also have the absolutely terrible lie detector that's supposed to be the best lie detector in the world.
Hey, Trey. What's the difference between an egg and a rock?
Ha ha, Henry. Ha ha.
I really like the questions. Everyone gave really funny personal answers that just felt so like them. And it was just really funny. Especially Simmons saying that if she had a box on an island, she'd just want the TARDIS. Smart.
I get that it was funny and it had moments of character development. This is all true. But the fact that this is supposed to be the best lie detector in the world, and he's asking them the stupidest questions that have nothing to do with figuring out if they're Hydra, and then he can't even tell that the one person who's acting super sketchy and giving the worst answers is Hydra because all he says is, oh, well, I just want to spend time with Skye, and that's enough to break it. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
no.
It's really dumb.
This is not okay. You don't build up a lie detector like this if you're gonna be that stupid with it.
Agreed. Though we learned a lot of differences between an egg and a rock.
Yay?
I really liked it. All of them had such good answers. Like, Ward was like, one's food, one's a weapon. And Fitz and Simmons both were just like, I could just talk about this for hours. It was just great. I loved it.
Yeah, we also learned that Trip is the grandson of a Howling Commando from Captain America.
Yeah, and we learned that Skye's real name is Mary Sue Poots.
Well, her name from the orphanage, not her real name.
Yes, but I like it.
I still don't know if it's meant to be a commentary from the showrunners about how people thought she was a Mary Sue, or what. I don't know if it was just silly.
I assume it was just a purposefully generic name because I don't know what nuns at an orphanage would generally name children, but I'm assuming it's pretty bland names, like Mary Sue.
I've never heard that as an actual name.
I feel like that's a name from another generation. That's why it seems so weird.
Maybe, but it's also the title of a very specific type of character.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what they were going for, but I didn't think about that until you brought it up.
I have no idea.
We also learned that Coulson was recruited just out of high school.
Okay.
So, I mean, I just think it's interesting that he also has been an agent his entire life, recruited by Fury, kind of like how Ward has been an agent recruited by Garrett for his entire life.
Isn't everyone recruited for their entire life?
I don't think so. I think that they are particularly exceptional cases.
Fitz and Simmons were recruited straight out of
university.
Yeah, and they were the youngest.
And are scientists,
they were like freshmen. So they were right out of high school, too.
I guess so, but I mean, we have a whole super team of the best agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., basically.
Yes, but that makes it not very impressive that both Coulson and Ward were recruited out of high school.
I'm just trying to draw a parallel to, like, normal agents, not just the scientists ones.
Sure.
Whatever. I'm sorry you don't find it interesting, Trey.
You should.
Okay.
Some other references we got are that the team used the same weapon to escape the plane when Hand was after them as Fury used in The Winter Soldier, which was really cool. And Skye calls Koenig Steve Rogers, and the tech they used to stop this dude in one of the episodes, Marcus Daniels, is made by Bruce Banner.
Yes, the superpowered light for the shadow guy that absorbs all energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we should briefly talk about that little character development of Coulson, where one of the people that escaped the fridge was a superpowered individual that was hunting after Coulson's ex-girlfriend from before he died. He met her when he saved her in the past.
The cellist.
Indeed. And I really like the touching moments of their backstory of how they met, how much they trust each other and care for each other, and why Coulson won't reveal that he's alive to her because he doesn't want to hurt her again. It's a touching story, even though it's kind of a pause of, like, the main Hydra arc throughout these 6 episodes.
Yeah, it's like a completely separate mini story that we get about Coulson and his lover.
Yeah, but it's nice to talk about the fact that a whole bunch of fridge prisoners escaped.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of which, how is the fridge's location secret? It's a giant skyscraper on some beach. Like, even if it's on a remote island, it's a skyscraper.
I don't know.
They probably have some kind of force field tech. I don't know. It was just weird.
Anyways, another facet of development for Coulson that we got in these episodes was that May dug up Coulson's grave to find a USB, which told us that Coulson was actually in charge of Tahiti the whole time. And he terminated the project before his death because the cost was just too great. Which, how did you feel about this whole thing?
Okay, well, first off, really quick, I didn't realize she dug up Coulson's grave. I thought it was Fury's. I didn't see the name on the tombstone. So, okay. And I actually really forgot about that twist, and I thought it was great. I really liked it.
Okay. Complete opposite of how I feel.
Since Fury is on top of S.H.I.E.L.D., there was really no good explanation for, like, a higher authority than Coulson himself. And his memory was wiped. And I really liked how Coulson saw the video of himself saying it was too dangerous. And he's just like, huh. And that's how I felt. And I liked it.
So Coulson isn't a higher authority than Fury, though, so I don't know why it needed to be.
Coulson isn't a higher authority than Fury in S.H.I.E.L.D., but he is a higher authority on Coulson himself. He decided that no one who goes under the procedure should have the memories of the procedure. And he also didn't want anyone to do it anyways.
That's not actually what he decided, though. He decided that the project should end and not be done again, and then it was done to him using the only method that he said kind of worked.
Sure, but he had to have his memory wiped for it to work.
Yes, so?
And he couldn't know about it for it to work. That's the whole point.
Yes, this is all true, but it really rubs me the wrong way that this is where the mystery went, because to me, it just feels like they wanted to end the mystery without introducing another, like, factor to complicate things. They didn't want another person that was involved in it. And I really don't think it adds anything to the whole Tahiti thing. Like, they could have just said Fury was in charge and never had, oh, well, was he in talks with another person? And who was this person? And could Hydra have been involved? Like, the only reason they did that was to ask if Hydra was involved in Coulson, which was pointless, and I didn't care about that at all. So having it just be, oh, well, it was just me. Oh, huh, okay, let's never talk about it again then, was so... it bothered me so much.
I can see why you felt that way. I just didn't really mind it. But as soon as Coulson did find out the truth, he starts acting weirdly and drawing weird sketches on the walls. So maybe he shouldn't have known the truth because it's damaging his brain and making him go crazy.
That's not as soon as he finds out the truth, though.
It's pretty soon after.
Yes, it's after he sees Garrett's drawings that he starts drawing weird things.
Was the first set of drawings Garrett's drawings?
I thought so. We saw Garrett draw them first.
I might have missed that. Oh, okay. Either way, I thought it was kind of funny, and I liked it, so sorry I don't agree with you on that one.
You should be sorry.
Well, you know what I'm not sorry about? How awesome Maria Hill is in these episodes. She doesn't appear that much, but when she does, just every time she's on the screen, she commands this amazing, badass presence, and I just want more Maria Hill.
That is perfect, because that is exactly what I was going to talk about next. I completely agree. She's frigging awesome.
Yeah, like her first reintroduction to the show when she's just on the phone with Pepper, just being like, ugh, I can't believe I'm being followed by all these people. And she has this eagle eye of literally everyone who's following her, and how she does not take shit from Coulson or anyone. And when she's having that little game of chicken with Ward in the plane, and when Ward insults her, she just mocks him back, and it's so great. And I just love every part with her in it.
Yeah. And giving a little more details about her conversation with Pepper and May, we find out that Maria is now working for Tony Stark, which we saw a hint of at the end of Winter Soldier.
Indeed. Well, she's not working for Tony Stark. She's working for Stark Industries, which is working for Pepper.
Sure.
Tony does not work at Stark Industries anymore, Trey.
Yes. Yes, that's...
He's a full-time Avenger.
Hence why I said sure.
Just making sure it was clear.
I mean, he's essentially like the main consultant, and it is still kind of his company. But
kinda is a strong word. He doesn't work there really anymore. He's just a stockholder.
Sure. Anyways, we find out Maria's working for Stark Industries, and the government's been trying to bury her since the news of Hydra came out, but they've been having trouble getting past Stark's team of lawyers. So I liked that tidbit of information. And I also liked that they mentioned Pepper.
Yeah, and it just shows how smart and capable she is. And if I remember correctly, at the end of Winter Soldier, didn't you say you didn't like that she worked for Stark Industries? But now we have a good reason for why.
Is the good reason that the lawyers?
Yeah, to protect herself from the government.
I didn't take that as her reason for working there. I thought that was just a good side effect.
It was part of it, for sure.
Maria also made a deal to stay out of jail by giving Talbot, who we get introduced to in these episodes.
I don't like him.
He's an antagonist, but...
He's just like Hand. He's like supposed to be this good guy in the government, but he's just always a dick to our protagonists.
I don't know if I'd say that he's just like Hand. He seems like more of a dick, but also I can't talk about him without spoilers.
He's way more of a dick.
He is.
He also just looks awful with the mustache, and him being in Heroes and in this just throws me off.
Yeah.
He should just be Nathan Petrelli and fly away like a good little boy.
I don't think he's always a bad guy either, though, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, but Maria gave Talbot the location of the secret base, and he essentially charges in and takes over while Coulson is trying to get Skye away from Ward. And when Coulson tells Maria, like, yo, we were trying to do this thing, and you just, like, now what? She's like, oh, oops. And then she beats up all the soldiers in the room, and helps them escape.
Yeah, which is pretty great.
It is, but it seems like they're going to be in a lot of trouble after that.
Yeah, you would think. Since this is probably the last time we're going to talk about the Providence base, I just wanted to mention one more thing. Just the fact that Koenig has been there since Avengers, which is probably 2 years ago. So he's just been here on his own for 2 years. Poor guy.
Yeah, sounds like a very lonely existence.
I wonder how he gets food.
I don't have an answer for you.
Maybe he hunts moose in the Canadian wilderness.
Who knows?
He doesn't seem like the hunter type, though he is a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, so who knows?
So another thing that I wanted to talk about was Garrett himself and his own motivations and character before he goes crazy.
Sure, what about him?
We get a look at Garrett's motivations in these episodes and in the flashbacks as well, and essentially his entire reason for attempting to bring S.H.I.E.L.D. to their knees by working for Hydra is that he was injured once in the field. S.H.I.E.L.D. made excuses why Medvac couldn't go save him, so he realized they're not as loyal to him as he is to them, and decided that if he survived, he would treat them the way he was treated, and essentially that equals the most petty revenge vendetta ever to bring a whole organization about protecting the world to their knees.
Yes, and the entire Centipede project was just to heal himself.
Yeah.
With the side effect of being able to sell a super soldier serum, I guess.
Which really makes me wonder why he's so high up in Hydra, because he really does not care about Hydra's goals at all.
Yeah, not at all. It's really weird.
And, I mean, this is probably the pettiest motivation for a villain ever that I've seen, and yet somehow I still enjoy him as a villain.
Yeah, me too. I like that he's not really part of Big Hydra, and he's just this jerk who will do anything for his own whims.
Yeah, he's just the most self-absorbed, selfish person ever, and it definitely creates an interesting villain, though.
Yeah, like he boasts about himself, he's charismatic, and it's gotten him this far, and it's true. He's just a charismatic villain, and I like him.
And part of the plot that demonstrates this is how he spent all this effort creating the GH325, the duplicate of Coulson's drug that saved him, or brought him back to life, and he literally does not care at all about using it for the Centipede soldiers as long as he stays alive. So he's basically like, well, screw Hydra's plan. I don't give a crap about that. Just keep me alive. And then he uses the drug on himself.
Yeah, like basically the Centipede soldiers were just tests to see if the drug would work. He didn't really care about the technology that much for weaponization purposes. He just wanted it for himself.
Yep, which he only needed because Fitz used the EMP, taking out his machine system, since apparently he's a Project Deathlock.
Yes, he's the original Deathlock from the 90s, I guess.
Yeah, and that causes him to order Fitz and Simmons to be murdered by Ward.
Yes, but that does lead to Fitz and Simmons getting dumped into the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, and it's interesting the callback they do with Ward as well, showing that he does actually care about them, and that's why he's killing them, because he considers it a weakness, just like the dog.
Yeah, and it's especially heartbreaking because during this scene and many in the ones before it, we see that Fitz truly believes that there's still good in him and that he's doing this for some reason. He's not really part of Hydra. He's not really evil.
Yep.
But that's not true.
But then we get the science duo at the bottom of the ocean working their magic to get out, but there's only one oxygen mask, so Fitz essentially sacrifices himself, or he tries to sacrifice himself, and tells Simmons that she's more to him than just a best friend, and he has his feelings for her, and then gives her the one oxygen mask, and she essentially drags him to the surface and has to save him, but he does have brain damage, so it's not consequence-free.
Yeah, though we don't really know the extent of that until season 2.
Indeed. And who to save them but Fury?
Indeed, the only person still looking at S.H.I.E.L.D. communications that Fitz set up.
It was really cool getting all these movie characters in these episodes with Maria Hill and then Fury.
Oh my god, Fury was so great later on when Garrett is in maximum crazy mode and Fury and Coulson are just going back and forth, talking to each other, being like, what happened? Why is he this crazy? You didn't say he was this crazy.
Yeah, Fury was badass and just great. He's always great.
Yeah, badass and hilarious.
Yep.
He's just a cool dude.
Which I guess we should talk about Garrett going crazy then so that we can get into the final fights.
Yeah, so Garrett takes the drug after Fitz knocks him out with the EMP, and he goes crazy bananas.
Crazy. Yeah, he talks about how he's connected and can see everything now.
He can see through the gravitonium.
all his actions after this are super like, I'm so enlightened and I will just kill everybody. Which, to be honest, we haven't talked about Quinn at all, but he brought Quinn in, gave him the gift of gravitonium.
Again.
Yeah, and told Quinn to go sell the super soldiers to the US government, but then goes into the meeting and kills the US government officer, and I guess he changed his mind about doing that.
Well, he's gone crazy at that point.
Yeah, but it just makes me wonder, like, what the purpose of Quinn in these episodes is, because he really doesn't matter at all.
He was setting up their end game of having a mercenary force of super soldiers, but Garrett tore it apart from the inside when he went nuts.
Yeah, but, like, Garrett told Quinn to do that, Quinn starts to do that, Garrett tears it apart. That's all we see of Quinn. Like, it doesn't even seem like it was necessary to include.
I thought it worked in how they used Quinn offering to sell the soldiers as a cliffhanger in a previous episode. It makes you nervous about what's coming next. And in the finale, I think they were just trying to hype up the basically army of centipede soldiers that were at Cybertech.
Yeah, but nothing happened with them.
I mean, they had the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. break into the building and then take control, sort of the centipede soldiers.
Yeah, but they didn't have to fight any of them, and they weren't really necessary.
I didn't mind it.
I didn't mind it, but I don't know why it was there.
I don't know, I guess they just needed a cliffhanger in the previous episode.
Anyways, with Garrett going crazy, we get a lot from that. Like, Garrett's suddenly this hugely different person. Reyna's buying into it too, and she's talking about how he's connected and how the world will change and evolution will come because of what he's seeing. And it did work to raise the stakes, and it suddenly felt like everything mattered more and was scarier, for sure, for me. But it also made me wish that we got to see it play out, because he dies and we don't get to see his grand plan and vision with him.
Well, that's the thing they keep bouncing back and forth of, is he actually enlightened or has he gone nuts? Because he does seem to understand what Reyna is talking about. And when they're hinting at season 2 plots, they show that, yes, Sky is important. But then later on, he also seems crazy. It's a mix. You don't know if he's crazy or not.
Absolutely, but it definitely seemed like there was more to him than just craziness. And Reyna was super buying into it, which is why I'm like, I want to see what this actually would be. I would totally have loved if that plot was
continued.
Yeah, if that was brought into season 2 and we saw more about like this crazy Garrett and what his actual plan would be for at least a little bit before it was resolved.
Yeah, I really want to know what Garrett told Reyna when Reyna asked him, what will I become?
Yeah.
Since I want to know what he said and how it would play out in the next season.
And I don't remember if this gets addressed at all, but it definitely feels like there's more that we're in the dark about that could definitely have been shown and explored here.
Yeah, it would have been really interesting to see more of him.
Yes, it would. Too bad, I guess.
Yeah.
But now we have the final fights, where we have May versus Ward. And we already talked about how epic that was.
Yeah. Nail gun in the foot. Good.
Yeah. And we have Coulson and Fury as a team versus Garrett, which...
and Deathlock.
Was just great. Yeah, and then Sky figuring out how to get his son free and then showing him that his son's free so that he can actually be their ace in the hole.
Yeah, and that Deathlock shoots Garrett and smashes his head in with his foot. It was sweet.
Yeah. It was a pretty good finale overall.
Yeah. And like I said before, I love the shit talking of Fury and Coulson about crazy Garrett.
Absolutely.
And Deathlock is free!
Deathlock is free. He now gets to go and do good things to try and make up for what he's done bad.
Yeah, and we also get that scene later on of Garrett still being alive and crawling into the machine that gives you metal parts like Deathlock. And as soon as he comes in with this, like, really morbid-looking Iron Man suit, essentially, Coulson just obliterates him. That was weird, but funny.
Yeah, it was weird, but funny. Because you can get what they're doing, because in a lot of other things, the bad guy just keeps coming back, and it's like, oh my gosh! And they just snubbed it right away, but at the same time, it's like, okay, then why'd you show it just for this little joke?
I thought it was funny.
It was funny. Just not necessary, but funny.
I enjoyed it, except for, again, I thought they're supposed to bring these people to justice, even if they've gone crazy.
I think it's fine.
Fair enough.
Plus, how would you have held Garrett?
Yeah, I guess it would be really hard to contain him.
Yeah, so then we get all of these setups for the future stuff and resolutions, where we see Fury give Coulson a toolbox to help him become the next director of S.H.I.E.L.D., which his speech going along with this was pretty great, talking about how Coulson was the heart of S.H.I.E.L.D. and now he'll be the head.
Yeah, and how S.H.I.E.L.D.'s one aim was always to defend, whether that was the small scale or the big scale. And throughout this entire season, Coulson has valiantly put those words into action. To defend.
Yes, he has. And that toolbox also leads the team to another secret base called the Playground with Billy Koenig.
Koenig number 2.
Identical brother to Eric Koenig, yeah.
I'm still just amazed that they found someone who looks so similar.
I feel like this is some fanboy's biggest dream. Are the Koenigs in the comics? I don't know if you know.
I have no idea, but it's the goofiest thing in the season.
I don't mind it, but I'm not sure it fits the show very well.
That's a good way to put it. It's kind of funny, but just like off-putting.
Yeah.
When Eric Koenig pops up, it's during one of their darkest moments, and then this goofy guy just pops up. It's like, okay, cool.
Yep.
And then the second time, it's like, what? I thought you died. Oh, that was my brother. He did die. I'm the next one. It's like, what? Why?
Yeah, it just doesn't quite fit correctly, I think.
Yeah.
But they also give us 2, like, zingers, and you keep thinking, like, is this the end? Is this the end? This is the cliffhanger? But they give you multiple.
Yeah. So one of them was Coulson drawing these weird symbols, which were kind of hinted at are part of the after effect of being resurrected, that he's going a little crazy. And the other is the introduction of one of Sky's parents, who is bathing in blood for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know that you would say that it's an after effect of Coulson going crazy. It's an after effect of the GH325 drug, which is composed of alien blood. So something is happening from that blood, and we don't know if it's like an alien message or it does something to the mind that maybe like opens up some kind of connection to something and he's drawing it out. But basically, we don't know what it is.
Yeah, just that he's seemingly compulsively driven to make it.
Indeed. And with Sky, we didn't actually touch on how Raina mentioned before about how she's heard the story of Sky's origin.
Yeah.
About a whole village of people being slaughtered by monsters to get to the baby, but it's not because they were trying to kill the baby, it's because they are the baby's parents.
Indeed, the parents are monsters, especially since one of them apparently bathes in blood.
Yeah, and that's who we see at the end when Raina is like, I found your daughter, which how the heck does she know Sky's parent?
Yeah, Raina definitely knows a lot of weird mysteries and has way more backstory than what we've been shown so far. And I guess we'll have to just wait till season 2 to see what these secrets are.
Indeed we will.
Yeah, so I guess we've covered pretty much the entire finale, all these Hydra episodes, which I thought they were all great. And I just give all 6 of them a thumbs up.
I agree. All the stuff with Ward and Hydra is just too good to resist.
Same with May and Sky and Fitzsimmons too. Just everyone had a chance to shine.
Yes, they did. And now I think that we should give our thoughts on the season overall.
Yes, since we're finally done with an entire S.H.I.E.L.D. season.
And we can rate the season on our rating scale.
Indeed, like a movie. But it's not a movie, it's a TV show. But anyways, there's a lot of highs and lows in the earlier episodes of this season. Like, some of the episodes don't really seem to go anywhere. Some have good plot, but bad character interactions. Some of them have good character interactions, but bad plot. And it's just inconsistent quality. But as the long-term plots build up, the season gets better and better over time. So it starts a little bit weaker and it gets way stronger towards the end.
So what would you rate it?
So I would give it an A. It was really compelling to watch, especially back in the earlier days of the MCU. I enjoyed them, but if it weren't for this podcast, I'd probably never rewatch the show again. Not that it's bad, it's just not so amazing that I'd rewatch it again. Because rewatching an entire show is a lot of time.
And I would also give it an A. There are definitely some episodes that are very hit or miss, especially near the beginning with a lot of the Monster of the Week episodes. But I do think they have a lot of strong moments, and everything with Hydra and Ward and the reveal and even a lot of the Centipede build-up, pretty much every episode about Centipede, I really enjoyed, and I think that it was quite good. It's currently still my favorite season of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I know is not a common opinion, but that is my opinion.
Yeah, also with the ongoing plot of Mike Peterson, that was really good too. And having a very strong finish was extremely beneficial to the season overall.
Absolutely.
And it has a lot of good setups for future seasons.
Yes, it does. I think that about wraps up our episode.
Indeed, I believe it does. Trey, where could they find us?
You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Marvelous MCU. You can find us on Instagram at Marvelous MCU Podcast, and you can send us an email at marvelousmcupodcast@gmail.com.
And wherever you listen to this podcast, whether it's iTunes, YouTube, Google, or Spotify, we have Spotify now. Please like, review, rate, subscribe, whatever you can do to help share and support the podcast is a huge help to us.
And if you like this podcast, we also now have a Patreon, which we will soon be creating patron exclusives for. We're going to be doing a special on Deadpool 2. So if you go over there, you can donate. Even as little as $1 would be appreciated, though more is welcome.
Yeah, so if you want more Marvel content, but not necessarily MCU content, you should definitely check out our Patreon.
So thanks for listening to our podcast, and we hope you'll tune in next time for our biggest, baddest special on the culmination of the entire MCU up to this point, our special on Avengers Infinity War.
Everyone's gonna die! It's gonna be great! Woo!
Woo!